An outsider is an outsider. Nepotism is nepotism. Now tomorrow, if I become a star or a big actor, and if I have kids and they want to be actors, of course, I will help them. Uh, I will tell them to learn as much as they can, and I will tell them to become good actors first. I'm a diehard fan of Ranbir, so I would definitely want to do like a proper another film with Ranbir, and I absolutely love his work. Uh, and director, there are many, but I think I am really hunting and I'm really looking for an opportunity to work with Anurag Kashyap. We're human beings, you know. Right? I mean, of course, there's a huge gap uh, between like the rich and the poor, and as much as you try, that's extremely hard to sort of get out of
Yeah.
and get rid of. But caste, I mean, doesn't really matter. There, we all breathe the same air. We eat the same food if we have the right amount of privileges. And yeah, everything else, we live under the same sky. So like, what's making us different? Just a bunch of different gods. That's our belief system. That's something that we should have at our home, not outside. You know.
Hello everyone, this is Srijita sent from News 18 Showsha, and today we have with us Gurfateh Pirzada, who is getting rave reviews for his latest Netflix series Class. He was previously seen in Guilty and in Brahmastra. Hi Gurfateh, how are you?
I'm good, Srijita. How are you?
I'm fine. I first saw you in Guilty and then Brahmastra happened, and now Class, the series, especially your character, is getting such amazing reviews. So, first of all, congratulations for that.
Uh, thank you so much.
So, how are you feeling right now? Must be amazing, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mixed bag because like obviously we worked really hard on this and wanted obviously like the audience to receive it the way they've received, but also it's just taken so long, you know. So
Right.
I firstly I like I mean when it happened, when it came out, I it took me like a few days to, you know, get into it and like sort of believe, and someone need to like pinch me that okay ki aa gaya hai bahar, it's released, class is out, people have liked it. uh how have I done? I have absolutely no idea because like you know I acted in this right after the first lockdown, and the whole thing went on for about 2 years. So uh when I came out of it, or everyone, my family, my friends, everyone used to ask me कि तूने काम किया है, तू मतलब you know how have you, like what have you done, has it gone well? I was like, I have no idea. I have absolutely zero clue. Like I prepped, I worked hard, and whenever they called me, I went on set, I shot, and came back home. I had absolutely no clue how seamless or like how is it gone. The dialect, is it matching? Uh, was I consistent? But yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad it's been received well for sure. So I'm happy now.
And how did your family members and close friends react after the series came out?
I mean, everyone reacted well only, except obviously my half my family has not entirely seen it because uh, it's I guess it's a bit too much for them.
Okay.
My mom has seen parts of it, uh, but yeah, but like a lot of people have watched it. Actually, everyone's watched it, but alone. They've not watched it together. So like I
Acha.
started watching the show with my mom, but I think half an hour into the episode, I was like, you know, you watch it, I'll watch it in my room. You watch it on your own, and then you know you just tell me how what you think and is it nice or not. Like I don't want to watch it with you; it's too awkward. But yeah,
Yeah. That's right. I mean, it can get awkward watching certain scenes with parents.
yeah. I mean, it shouldn't be, but I guess you know Indian society. So what do you do?
Yeah. It takes some time to get out of that mindset.
Yeah, and I've only done dark things. I think my mom was essentially only happy with Brahmastra because it was all clean, you know.
Yeah.
And Guilty also was like a darkish character. This was also like a bit on the line. So now I think the next thing I'm doing, hopefully, is a bit, you know, nice, happy, like light. So I think that's something that my mom will really appreciate, and she'll be like, "Acha, haan, theek hai, now I'm proud of you." You've done something like nice and clean and happy. So, but yeah, let's see.
Right. So how similar are Gurfateh and Neeraj?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, uh, I had to. I won't say that I don't have those parts of Neeraj in me because I can only play something that I can relate to. If I don't relate to the character, I would not want to play it. Uh, but yeah, like everything. Uh, I mean, not many people know this, but like the story of Neeraj and the way we carved it out and the backstory, what we sort of thought of, obviously with the director and me, it was based on a real life incident. Like we picked it up from a story of these people, and it's also said in the show. It's very subtle, but I don't know many people catch it or not. And it's on the story of this uh, like Dalit family who eventually, like, the father named his kids on gave them similar names of the person that he was working for, like a thakur or like a landlord of the village. And they eventually, because uh, like he was a worker and he was a Dalit and his kids has the same name as his own kids, that landlord raped their, like, his wife and eventually killed her. And they were not allowed to have the last rites of their mother. So these two little kids and the father had to pick up like her sort of like body and sort of dispose it off in like a manhole or like a uh, you know a nala or something. And then eventually they moved places. So it's actually based on that. So the the anger, the the sort of unfairness of the world between caste and like the higher, upper, and lower class and all that stuff. So it comes from there. So obviously, I channeled that. I tried to read a lot. I read books. I watched movies. A lot of films were made back in the day about the class difference and all that stuff. Not now, not so much. But so yeah, I mean, we aren't similar. Uh, well, obviously, the dialect is very different. I think the only thing that was maybe similar was that I could feel the only thing I could relate to was the difference of him being around in Delhi, because like I've lived in Delhi and I've studied in a similar school like class. Like I went to the school Pathways, which was extremely, like, full of, like, extremely rich kids. And I was there by the virtue of my mom's job because she was working in the school and my education was literally free. So, so I was there with this, you know, sort of. I loved being in the school, but also hated being in the school because I had no identity of my own because I was just like a staff, someone's kid. It was not like I was uh, from an extremely rich family or all that stuff. So obviously, I dealt with those identity crises of being in that place, but not being in that place, like sort of being an outsider. So yeah, I think I those just channeled those feelings, upped a few things, took down a few things, and I guess trusted Oshim sir's vision. That's about it.
No, I mean this. I was not aware of this incident, but now that you have mentioned it, I remember the actor who played your father. He like narrated the story to Suhani
Yeah,
during that
in the video,
assignment.
yeah, but it's very subtle.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very subtle.
And now people should be making all these kind of series and movies because like when you open the newspaper or any news portal, you at least find couple of news about casteism, about caste-based violence. So I think uh, coming from that place, a series like Class can actually make an impact. What would you say?
No, no, of course it can. And it's not just violence. It's also the conditioning, like I remember
Right.
when I was prepping, there are a series of documentaries on YouTube, and it's India Divided, and one more name I'm forgetting. So I watched that documentary, and it was about these few kids from the village where uh, an upper caste boy and a low caste boy were best friends. They studied in the same school, but in that school, one, they had different meals because an upper caste boy and a low caste boy gets different food. They sit at different places. an upper caste boy in class has a chair to sit on, and the low caste boy sits on the floor, but they're still best friends. And there's a moment in the documentary where like the reporter goes up to the upper caste boy and tells him कि इसके घर से पानी पीते हैं. He was like, मैं पानी नहीं पी सकता. And the reporter goes like, why? वो तुम्हारा बेस्ट फ्रेंड नहीं है? He was like, हाँ बेस्ट फ्रेंड है, but मैं उसके घर से पानी पीऊंगा तो मैं अशुद्ध हो जाऊंगा. You know, so and a kid is talking about that. You know, it's maybe like a 6, 7 year old kid having that mentality. It's basically, it's of course it's been taught, it's conditioning. So violence and
Obviously.
all, obviously, but more than that, it's the change that needs to happen over a universal sort of this thing that we're human beings. Right? I mean, of course, there's a huge gap uh, between like the rich and the poor, and as much as you try, that's extremely hard to sort of get out of
Yeah.
and get rid of. But caste, I mean, doesn't really matter. There, we all breathe the same air. We eat the same food if we have the right amount of privileges, and yeah, everything else, we live under the same sky. So like, what's making us different? Just a bunch of different gods. That's our belief system. That's something that we should have at our home, not outside. Outside we're all just like simple, plain human beings, and it doesn't really matter. Uh, I I remember like a cast member of mine asked me when we were promoting the show. He was like, "तू कौन सी caste से है?" I was like, "यार मुझे पता नहीं है." Like मैं मतलब मुझे अपना रिलीजन पता है, मैं पंजाबी हूँ, सिख हूँ, बट आई रियली डोंट नो. ही लाइक, नहीं शूद्रा या ये वो. आई वाज लाइक, आई हैव एब्सोल्युटली नो क्लू, एंड आई रियली डोंट केयर. लाइक आई प्लेड अ पार्ट, दैट्स अबाउट इट. अगर मुझे कोई पूछेगा, मुझे नहीं पता, बट या सो
Yeah,
अबाउट
I
इट.
was talking to like Oshim about the topic that has been covered in class, and he was saying that when it comes to the rich upper class kids, say for the kind of like the students, say the characters like Yashika or Koel, sorry, yeah, Yashika and
वीर,
Koel.
या
So
या
for people like those in real life, caste doesn't matter to them because everything is about you're either rich or you're poor.
now that's the case. But like, I'm sure I've heard plenty of stories of not just I mean elites, in the sense like, you know uh, normal, like when it comes to marriage. There's lots of like elitist families, extremely rich
Yeah.
backgrounds, who are of the belief that we'll marry in the same caste, the same surname. So of course it matters. The kids maybe not so much, but eventually as they grow up, they're taught about it. So which is, I mean, I'm no one to say what's right or wrong, but I think, I mean, it shouldn't be the case, because how does it matter? Like,
Right, obviously.
yeah, like it's if you like the person, you don't like the person, you love the person, you don't love the person. Uh, I mean, loving people is so hard, and making things, relationships work is so hard. Now, if you start getting into classes and castes and surnames, then so it's gone only.
Right. And exactly, I mean, what is the real life impact? So this, like, it's not like if you marry outside your caste religion, it's not like it's going to harm you, right? So what's the impact? How does it matter?
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't, but I think it's the fear of, I think it's the ritual sense of it, that the conditioning, because, like, I guess different surnames, different castes are taught different things. So, oh, will we be able to match? And
Yeah.
I think the level of thinking, but I mean, that's always changing, right? It's anyways, we're all like, our generation is probably better. Actually, not yet, but like our generation's like learning and transitioning. So hopefully the next generation will be better than the last one. We are the
Yeah.
ones who are a bit more in a flux, because we are confused. We are still sort of trying to do better, but don't know how to do better. So yeah, I think these things will get cleared out hopefully in a few years.
Now, moving on to a lighter topic. I was telling Naina the other day that like if I go through all your Instagram feeds, you have guys have, especially Nana, you guys have so much post about each other, videos with your co-stars, and it looks like you guys have actually formed an off-screen family as well. So,
Yeah,
like, tell us about the bond. And working with so many actors, working with an ensemble cast is an experience in itself. So, tell us about that.
it is. I think it's wonderful because I remember when so uh, I was watching this show White Lotus, and the second season. And when I finished the show, I started counting the number of main characters. There were 21 main characters who actually have a different arc and different story going on. And I just thought to myself, I was like, it's wonderful because like in Bollywood, in India, when does that happen? When do like 21 big actors come together to do a series or a show and are okay with whatever they get, you know? And I think it's great. I mean, we're obviously very new. We're 11 new people. I think out of the 11, 8 are completely new, you know. And Anjali's obviously done modeling before, and she's done a film. I've done one, two films. But apart from that, everyone else is completely raw. So I think it was great to come together like that. I hope it stays. I hope that like few years down the line, all these people still are okay to work with other people and newer actors because I mean it's unfortunate, but what happens over time is with the kind of industry we are in, there are also that you start meeting people who sort of build you up and then start putting it in your head that remember meeting an editor of a magazine recently, and he just asked me that does anyone think has started thinking that oh they've become a star now? I was like, I mean, I hope not because like there's a long journey to go. This is only one show that's been appreciated and people have liked it, but I don't think any of us stars. Uh, so yeah, I mean, I hope it stays. But yeah, lovely bond. Also, I unfortunately didn't get to work with a lot of them because obviously their arcs and their stories were different. My most bits were with Piyush and Zen and Anjali, Balli, Sivayal. So yeah, apart from that, I've met these people in around set and like just hanging around.
The series talks about money and power and contacts, and if you have money you have respect, people with no money are treated with no respect, and that sort of thing. And also this inside the school there is this rich versus poor, insider versus outsider thing going on constantly. So would you say that in some way also mirrors our own film industry, where there is this constant debate and discussion about nepotism and insider and outsider? What would you say about that?
I mean, I'll say yes and no, you know, because of course I'm an outsider. I I moved to Bombay in 2014. Reached here with my family in one suitcase with very little money in Punjab mail from Delhi, and had nothing to go back to, nothing to come back here to, and no contacts, didn't know anyone, and yeah, we just took it day by day from moving in like best buses, coming every day to Mahada and Versova, Ramnagar, auditioning 5566, giving 5566 auditions a day. कुछ भी हो रहा है, be it ads, TV serials, film के auditions तो बहुत ही कम मिलते थे. But and also at the time it wasn't systemic. There was no planned way. The casting directors had just started coming in. So I'd say yes and no because outsiders is very hard, 100%. With nepotism, what the only thing that it gets you is access. Uh, like I felt it myself. You know, when I go to these parties of Bollywood parties and all that stuff, uh, everyone's very inviting. I don't want to say that they're very nice. That they're very they welcome you. But of course, that familiarity is not there. You know, for a person like me, because someone from the industry, they've seen them grown up. They have 100 stories about them and all that stuff. So obviously, it's much more easier for them to sort of uh, mingle and mix with the crowd than it is for someone like me. But what can you do? there's no option. An outsider is an outsider. Nepotism is nepotism. Now tomorrow, if I become a star or a big actor, and if I have kids and they want to be actors, of course I will help them. Uh, I will tell them to learn as much as they can, and I will tell them to become good actors first. But uh, do you want to fight this conversation? What is the point? You do the best you can. That's what I realized. I realized this very soon. One, because the industry was extremely welcoming. I auditioned, I got parts. Uh, some things worked out, some things didn't. But majorly, uh, it's been it's been good, minus the struggles and all that stuff. Since the time I've started getting work, people who have liked my work have messaged me, they've reached out to me, and they shouldn't have, they like example, like I remember Ranbir messaging me after watching Guilty, and he really appreciated what I'd done. And I just thought to myself that he didn't have to do that. I was a very small part of Brahmastra, and I was there around for a very short time, and there was absolutely no reason for him to drop me a text. But that says so much about him, that he appreciates good people, good actors, and and that's what's important. Like I would want to do the same if I'm someone who's a big actor or anything, and if there's a young actor who's doing a great job, and he's working hard, I would like to tell them and appreciate them. So I think that's all. I mean, you should just look at the positives than the negatives, because otherwise it's just going to go into a spiral. So yeah, nepotism, outsider debate, we can keep going on about it. But I am an outsider, but some days I hate it, some days I love it. Uh, but there's no choice but to be one. That's all.
That's such a sensible answer. And I also think that even if the start is easy for, say, insiders or people who come from star families, I think it depends on you how you like convey yourself to the audience and how much you make them love you with through your work.
That's also true, but it's also like, what makes nepotism? Who makes stars? The people make it, right?
Right.
The people make it. So if there is a star kid who has just arrived with a film, uh, and people are sort of going on this nepotism debate, but they're also the same people who will buy the ticket and go watch them, because
Correct.
uh, that might be for the reasons that they want to shit on them, or that might be for the reasons because they're already a fan, because they're a fan of their mother or father or grandfather or whoever. But they will watch it now. If they stop watching it, then we can have this debate of nepotism and non-nepotism. But the reality is people watch their movies. So why fight it? It's obviously there is access, and the first film is always easy.
Yeah.
But after one, two, three films, eventually when it comes to a longer career of 5, 10 years, 15 years, nepotism and outsider does not matter. What matters is you're a good actor or you're not. You're good at picking up films and your choices, or you're bad at them. Uh, that's what matters. I think the long run, everyone's evenly played out. It's just a matter
And
of
that,
your own choices.
so you also
Sorry, I
have
talk
a
too much.
Bollywood film lined up with Dharma. So any
Huh.
update on that?
It will happen eventually at some point. I have something lined up already that is also with Dharma only. So I'm starting that very soon. But films will happen at a better time, at in a better circumstance. But yeah, I mean, there's always work. There's always work happening, and I'm actually, like, I love Dharma obviously, because like they've given me this chance and sort of opened the door to me to come in. But I also love a bunch of other people who I want to work with, and I'm constantly reaching out to people who sort of impress me, directors and producers who I've looked up to and I want to work with. So it's not just one place that I want to do work at. So I'm always like, obviously, like, I mean, Oshim is totally outside. Like bunch of people have asked me, "Arey, class." you are in it. Is it dharma? I was like, Arey, no, it's not dharma. It's outside. You know, I work outside. I did not. I am not. I did not come into dharma just like this. I have auditioned my way into dharma. You know,
Yeah.
and I've worked outside before also. I've done so much work with people. Don't even know. Even if you Google it, you will not find it. But I know in my head I've done it. But yeah, so the Dharma film will happen soon, sooner than later. But whenever it will, there will be news.
So, like couple of months back, there was a time where reports were doing the rounds that the film is delayed, it might get shelved. So, was that a concerning time for you? Were you worried when those reports started doing the rounds?
Of course, it was a concerning time for everyone. I think the film industry as a whole has gone through a tough period, uh, especially starting with the lockdown and then as the time went on. So even the actors who have done 25 films were, I'm sure, sitting at home and worried if their next film is going to work, or is it going to make money, or is it going to happen. So same. It's unfortunate that it happened to us at such a start, like an early period of our career. But what can you do? You know, you don't get the best of every part of the world. So I mean, I started. My Guilty came out, and then the lockdown happened. So who's to blame? No one's to blame. It was just times. Times are good and bad. Uh, it was a bad time, of course. I won't lie. I did some days. I did have to sort of push myself out of bed to, you know, uh, go and hunt and look for more work. But I'm glad I had this, and I'm glad I had people talking to me and sort of helping me along the way and telling me that it's all going to be okay, because no one tells you how to deal with these problems, because no one knows themselves. But yeah, good times coming. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, always.
So that brings me to my last question. Which actor and director would be your dream collaboration?
Array, that's a very big question. Actor, actor or actress?
Actor, actress, both.
Okay, actor. So I'm a diehard fan of Ranbir. So I would definitely want to do like a proper another film with Ranbir. And I absolutely love his work. Uh, and director, there are many, but I think I am really hunting and I'm really looking for an opportunity to work with Anurag Kashyap. So whenever that happens, uh, I will give it my all. I will drain all my blood into that movie. But yeah.
Like, thank you so much for your time, Gurpati. It was an amazing chat. I wish we had more time to talk about class because there
Yeah.
are so many topics we haven't even touched upon. But anyway, it was like really nice talking to you.